Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to TCR, Trinity Competitive Racing, and welcome back from the break week. We are here in the Middle East. Well, it doesn't look like the Middle East because it is raining right now, but we are here in Azerbaijan for the Baku Grand Prix. The first time we have been at this track since season 14, back in race 4, so this really has been a full 3 seasons since we were last at this track, but this track always provides some type of entertainment, and right now, as you can see on the track, it looks like we have some wet conditions, but you notice there's some people that are trying the soft tires, so this is already chaotic. But my name is Camden Luca, doing solo commentary tonight for the Azerbaijan Grand Prix. We have 8 drivers tonight. One of them is in the barrier, and we saw Chabar. His front wing was gone. Speedy Gunner having trouble as well, so qualifying definitely providing these drivers with tricky conditions thus far. We have 20 corners, and which is debatable because there's a couple of corners around this track that I don't consider to be corners. You know, you have a couple of really, really tight corners that are part of a straightaway, but however you may think of it, we have 20 corners here, so lots of room for error. But D-Swish, first one to put in a lap, a 153.7, which comes nowhere close to the all-time qualifying record, but because of these conditions, I definitely don't think we're going to be getting anywhere close to that. We'll have to see how the weather changes, though, throughout the qualifying session, but some guy ups him by 3 seconds as Joby is out of qualifying. He has a crash going into the right-hander of turn 7. So first driver out already. And Speedy Gunner has also had an issue. Where is that at? We saw Speedy have an issue. It looks like that is maybe by the castle section. The 2 drivers already out. It has been a chaotic start to qualifying as Kluka begins his lap on inners. Second place F1 Nerd putting in a 151.2, and we're glad to see F1 Nerd here because he actually came very close to not being able to make this race today. But F1 Nerd, the Red Bull driver, currently second in the driver standings with 86 points, trailing the guy who he is trailing in qualifying right now. Some guy leading the way with 100, exactly 100 points on the dot. Some guy in the Alpine, off to a good start. He won the first 2 races of the season in Mexico and Miami. Had a couple of 4th place finishes after that, but last week rebounded with a 2nd place in Bahrain, so he has been definitely smooth and consistent thus far. But F1 Nerd has been just as consistent. He's got a bunch of podiums. He's got 4 podiums in the first 5 races, has not yet won a race, as Chabar just had a crash, it looked like, in turn 7, which that is not the first person to have a crash there in that corner in qualifying. So make that 3 people now to crash out in qualifying. Man, this is, yeah, I can definitely see why. I mean, these conditions are right on the border of being intermediate conditions. Some people trying the softs, some people trying the inners, and D-Swish putting up a 53 on softs. I'm sure that's not his best lap, but Kluka sandwiches in between him and F1 Nerd. P3 for the time being, but everybody is chasing some guy who put up a 50.668. we were possibly going to get 9 people tonight. It looks like we are sticking with 8 people for tonight's race. Just want to welcome everybody on both the YouTube and Twitch side of things. If you are watching on YouTube, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. We do have more content besides the races. We do have shorts that get posted every week. They're actually pretty entertaining, so make sure to go check that out. Ooh, I like that. I'm gonna try not to butcher this. Azerbaijan. PC, I love that. But I will say though, PC, Chabar, and Kluka has knocked over the cone there in the left-hander. Chabar has specifically requested for me not to pick him in any more podium predictions this season because I am notorious for the commentator's curse, and Chabar, I think, has been hit with that curse a couple of times, so I'm not going to be picking your guy for the podium today, but we'll see what happens. He is going to be starting towards the back because he was not able to put a lap in, but oh my goodness, and Klukic just clipped the barriers, and he adds his name to the list of drivers that have crashed out here in qualifying. Half the grid has now crashed out here in qualifying, and that was off the barriers out of turn 19. Wow. And I don't know what happened there. It looked like he was coming in on his in-lap, maybe was trying to pull out a granola bar or something and just didn't see where he was going, and boop, into the wall he goes. But that leaves us now with 4 people left in qualifying. I mean, hey, if we want to get this thing over with, the rest of you guys might as well just crash out and we can get this race started. But though, I will say, in all seriousness, well, I was going to lead something up to saying that Oriole African could possibly get something out of this, but he's going to have to come back into the pits and repair that front wing. He has yet to put in a lap, but all he's got to do is put in a single lap, and he is starting in 5th place at the worst. But he's got to just make his way back to the pit lane here. It's a long way around this racetrack, especially when you have no front wing. 20 corners to navigate at this track, and clearly a lot of them are hard to get through. Baku is a street circuit, notorious for these close corners, as you can tell on the left and right hand sides of the screen. Let's take a look though. It looks like D-Swish is just starting a lap. He put in a 53.7, looking to improve that, and I don't think he needs to do much to do better than that. But F1 Nerd looks to also possibly be on a flyer, although his battery usage is a lot lower than D-Swish's right now. So, well, he is up on his time, so I'm curious. Maybe, you know what, he might be going for 2 laps. That's actually not a bad strategy. I just gotta wonder how these soft tires are gonna be after the first lap. D-Swish, though, might be doing the same thing, and really, it's very easy to do that when you're in rainy conditions in qualifying. It's very easy to, push a little bit on the first lap, but really save your stuff for that second lap. That way, the fuel is as low as possible. But let's see what F1 Nerd does for this first lap. He is up on his time. He is good by half a second, so this would be a good first lap, and we'll see what he can do on the second lap. Yeah, PC, I think you might have commentator's cursed Chabal. You might have... I didn't look to see when you said that, but it looks like you might have said that right before he crashed out. F1 Nerd to the line improves to pole position by less than a tenth over some guy. D-Swish to the line improves as well, but he is about half a second behind both F1 Nerd and some guy, but the race is still on, I think. F1 Nerd might be able to get a second lap in before his battery expires. D-Swish as well. Both of their batteries are in the low 30s. It's gonna be close though, I don't know. I don't like the fact that his fuel is blinking as well, and ooh, that might... Yeah, that might do it. Not sure. We'll have to keep an eye out for that, but really, it's looking like it's gonna come down to these guys for pole position until some guy gets out and does another lap, but this is really gonna be the battle for pole position as just about everybody else has DNF'd from the session. This is by far the trickiest section of the track. One of the trickiest sections in all of Formula 1 is the castle section that you see D-Swish going through right now. A few corners actually, turns 8, 9, and 10 make up that little castle section that you saw D-Swish go through, and you have to be perfect or else your race is done. You're going to be in the tire barrier and you're going to be on the sidelines, sitting in the rain. Oh, and F1 Nerd might have just clipped the barrier there, trying to use every inch of the racetrack. He might be good, but that might have hurt his time a little bit. We'll see as he comes to the line. Take a look at his battery usage. His time might slow down here on the straightaway. Let's see what he does. And he's going to bail into the pits. Yeah, I don't think he had enough battery there. What about D-Swish? There's only 2 minutes left, though. I don't think these guys can get back out there. So that might do it for their qualifying. The only two people now to look at is some guy and Oreo African, both in the Alpine. And look at this, though. Both of them coming out at the same time. Wondering how this is going to shape up. Now, Oreo technically is a reserve, but he has run a handful of races. I mean, with this grid specifically, he could... we might as well just put him in the seat. Maybe not the Alpine, because Bulldog is occupies the seat, but there's a lot of other seats that Oreo could take, which reminds me that if you want to sign up, we have plenty of spots available here in the Tuesday Challenger Series. Wednesday's Elite Series is pretty full, but if you have experience with no assists and you feel like you can hang with drivers like Camden Luca, then go and sign up. Looks like Oreo might be a little too far back here to get any sort of slipstream, but that would be hard to do with two people on the same lap at the same time. So let's see how these pair of Alpines do. It looks like F1 Nerd is going to give it a shot. I doubt, I mean, he might get to the line, but he's going to have to really... Oh, yeah, he's hustling, and that will do it into the barrier, and yeah, I don't think he's going to get back in time. So, it's up to some guy in Oreo African to give F1 Nerd a run for his money. And really, this could be a shock if F1 Nerd gets the pole, just because his qualifying this season hasn't been as quick as his race pace. As a matter of fact, I don't have the specific average, but he's averaging around a 4th to 5th place starting spot. F1 Nerd is most weeks, so this could be a huge break for him because, like I said, F1 Nerd, his race pace is phenomenal. So if he's starting up front this race, he could really be a contender, as Oreo African might have just had a slip there going into that right-hander. And he just went through castle section. Turn 7 has been quite an Achilles heel for these guys, and yeah, F1 Nerd does not get back to the finish line in time, so his qualifying session is over. Some guy, meanwhile, hits the barrier, though, whacks the car, front wing broken, and that will concede his efforts at getting pole position. So now it's up to Oreo African. Oh, and I think some guy just took the rest of the wing off. He needs to not crash the car here because his teammate is right behind him. He might give him some slipstream, though. This could be good for Oreo. Yeah, this is going to be huge for Oreo. What is he going to do here? Oreo African to the start-finish line. I don't know where he went. P5. So yeah, he goes up to P5. But hey, better than P6. I will say though, Kaluka, his lap was on the inners, so we'll see where his pace is actually at. But F1 Nerd, first pole position of season 17. Yeah, look at that. DNF. DNF. Another one. DNF. Another one. Another one. Oh boy. I am curious as to how the weather is going to be, because if we have wet conditions during the race, then ladies and gentlemen, get some popcorn, get some booze if you're allowed to, and sit back, because this is going to be a crap show. Who can't hang with Camden Luca? Anyone can hang with me. So, it is that time. Y'all ready for predictions time? I'm telling you, if Charles were here today, he would have left by now. He hates when I do that. So yeah, let's do predictions. It is sunny, by the way. I just noticed that, so I don't think we're going to have any sort of wet conditions, which, first of all, I was shocked that we even had wet conditions during qualifying, because, you know, Azerbaijan, but, you know. So I am going to go with F1 Nerd for the win, because I do like his race pace. I like the fact that he's actually starting up front for once, and F1 Nerd, he really does have a monkey to get off his back. He has yet to win a race in Season 17, but he does have 4 podiums, and actually, F1 Nerd started off the season with 3 runner-up finishes, and last week was a bit of an off week for him. He came P5 in Bahrain. Coming in today, he is 14 points behind some guy, so he needs a big race. I'm going to go with F1 Nerd for P1. I'm going to go some guy P2. And then I am going to go with Kaluka P3. Let's take a look at our tire strategies, and it's pretty similar, I would say. Medium, hard. Nobody's going to take a chance on the soft tires. 26 laps. A normal 50% race, no sprints, no 3-tire gimmicks. Traditional race. But next week, round 7 will be the British Grand Prix. We will be doing a 100% race for the first time for both tiers. In the past, we've had 100% races for our Platinum class, which used to run on Thursdays, but we're doing multiple 100% races next week, which is, I think, the first time we've ever done that in a single week. As we look at our race strategies at the bottom of the screen right there, if you're on the medium tires, expect to pit at a lap 12 or so. If you are on hard tires, expect to pit around lap 15 or so, but these drivers really play it by ear, you know. It really depends. And we could get a safety car, too, with how notorious this track is for being a crap show, and with how aggressive these guys can get. And with what we saw in qualifying, I would be shocked if we don't get at least one safety car tonight. Leave your predictions down in the comments. I will check them out and judge them. Don't worry, I am a nice judge. I'm not I'm not like Charles. Although I will say, because Charles isn't here tonight, and I know he would want me to do this in his honor. I am going to make sure that everybody parks on the grid correctly, because that is something that he loves to check up on. Oh, and Speedy Gunner had a real close call with the wall right there. Just flirting with the wall a little bit. You might want to get that out of the way now before we start the race. As we line up on the grid, this is not the best camera angle. Speedy Gunner is really taking his time here getting to the grid, which he is notorious for doing. Oreo can't park. Everybody else can. Here we go. Round 6. The Challenger Series in Baku. Lights out for the Azerbaijan Grand Prix. Who gets off the line the best? F1 Nerd with a blazing start heading into turn 1. They're side by side for P3 now as D-Switch does not get off the line well. He's side by side with the Mercedes for the time being. As Speedy Gunner gonna send it. A little bit of contact there with Chabar. He might have gotten damaged, but it looks like besides that, no other issues now as we head down the back straightaway for the first time. F1 Nerd with a huge lead. I would like to see how far up ahead he is, but I don't think the game is going to let me, at least for the first lap. Kaluka slides in the P3. D-Switch did not have the best start, and he is struggling a little bit here with traction going into turn 5. Looks like everything else has been clean so far, but let's watch these drivers going into the castle section, and there's an incident there! Shabar hits the wall, and Oreo gets into him, and we have a virtual safety car because Joby has spun out behind the rest of the pack. And he is stuck there in turn 7, but we saw Chabar hit the wall in the castle section, the trickiest part of the track, one of the trickiest parts of all of the Formula 1 circuit, and Oreo Hafferton got into him. I'm sure, I mean, Chabar's going to have to come in regardless, but I'm sure that penalty is not going to help him, and he definitely not deserved, obviously. But yeah, that shakes things up now. We have a virtual safety car, so I don't see a reason for anybody other than Chabar and Oreo to come in. And Joby, depending on if he has damage. Which, I don't know if he does, but... Oh, here we go into the pits! It looks like... Oh, man, that was close, it looked like. Speedy Gunner in the pits. Chabar in the pits. Joby has retired on track. He has hit the barrier by turn 19, and that is another virtual safety car, which is a huge break for Chabar. And Speedy Gunner, I'm kind of surprised that's not a full-course safety car. I know where Joby crashed, and that typically provides a lot of debris when you hit the wall in that section of the track. So man, that could have really saved Chabar and Speedy's races, but this will definitely help them. So we are down to 7. 7 drivers left. Speaking of 7 drivers, Chabar is in that 7th spot, and I know he wants to improve from that 7th spot, but we've had a running joke in the past that Chabar used to finish in 7th a lot, and Seafreeze once famously said that Chabar is as consistent as a bowl of oatmeal. If you want to learn more, we actually have a short on the YouTube here, on the YouTube side of things, so go and try and find that in your free time. But we are back underway. I really wish we can get this leaderboard fixed. We are back underway. It looks like some guy was able to take advantage of this virtual safety car. He has really closed in on F1 Nerd. Ooh, I like that camera angle. Damn, that is cool. They should do that everywhere. I like that. Some guy is going to close in on F1 Nerd, and this is one of those tracks to where your setup when it comes to your wings is going to really make a difference, and now we see the leaderboard has been updated. Straight line speed is huge here, but obviously you have to make the corners as well. So I wouldn't be surprised if we see some drivers, whether it's in Challenger or Elite tomorrow night, use 0-0 wings. And I'm not even exaggerating when I say that, because I know there's some drivers that would do that. I'm not going to name any names, but I know there's people that are very aggressive when it comes to that side of the setup. Man, these camera angles are killing it today. Whew! Good stuff. Seafreeze, if you're listening, these camera people need a raise. Pronto. Good stuff. Alright, let's see. It looks like everybody is getting through castle section clean and green this time around. Oreo got a little close there, but I mean, you can't really... you can't get that much farther away from the walls. I mean, it's going to look close every time, but... That's why I love this track. You know, we definitely need to rotate tracks per season, but this is one of those tracks that I feel like needs to be on the calendar more seasons than not, I feel like. This F1 Nerd rounds the right-hander of turn 19, which has already claimed a victim of Joby. And with how the safety cars have been this season, like I said, I'm really surprised that we did not see a safety car there for Joby before. But keep in mind, too, this battle at the front is quite interesting, because F1 Nerd is on the mediums, and he's not really pulling away from some guy on the hards. And, I mean, it is hard to do at this track compared to most because of the straight line speed, but this could be looking in some guy's favor, which is crucial for the championship. And we're going to start talking about the championship more and more as we're approaching the halfway point of the season, by the way, which is crazy to think, but we're already halfway through the season. And if you remember, we are discounting each driver's 2 worst races this season. And with how consistent these two are, like, every finish is huge. And obviously every finish is huge, but I'm talking like these guys need to finish on the podium every race. Because it's going to come down to, I think, who has the most 4th or 5th place finishes between these two. Because these two are always at the front, and they don't DNF. Oh yeah, you see some guy pushing it here. He knows that he needs to be in a good spot out of these couple of corners if he wants to set himself up for the straightaway, and this could be an easy pass. Oh, and Speedy Gunner is out of the session in Castle, and there is our first safety car. There he is. Oh, and Jabbar just misses him. Oof. Too close to the call there. That would have been Jabbar's second mishap through there, and luckily he was just able to avoid Speedy Gunner. But this changes things now. And if I were F1 Nerd, I would have considered pitting there. Kluge is going to take a risk. He's going to come into the pits and take off the hard tires. I'm curious as to what he does. Probably going to go medium. Yeah. So he's probably going to do a medium soft, or, you know, he could be the guinea pig for us Elite Series drivers. He could try to take these to the end. I don't know how he's going to do that. Charles, I don't know what you're eyeing at, but I feel like it's probably for the cringy sound effects that I did after qualifying. I would assume, right? Because I know how you don't love that. I'm trying to get creative. I'm trying to change it up every week, you know? There's only so many times that you can do the theme song for The Price is Right. But now we have gone from 7 to 6 drivers, so... Hey, at this rate, I mean, 2 drivers taken out in the first 5 laps. If you do the math, I mean, we could eliminate everybody before the end of this race. I mean, if people want to go to bed sooner, hell, let's just do it, you know? You think about it, if everybody DNFs, nobody's going to lose anything, right? if everybody crashes out, then nobody gets points, right? So, I mean, if we come to some sort of an agreement, you know, I don't know. That would be cool, though. That would be great for the shorts. I would make that tonight for the shorts. Can you imagine everybody crashing out in a single race? That would be awesome. It would be embarrassing, but I mean, hey, like I don't think I've ever seen that in a league race before. So it looks like Jabbar also came in and pitted there for the mediums. Let's take a look at our positions gained and lost. Because Speedy and Joby have crashed out, the only change as of now is Kluka and Oreo. They have swapped places for the time being, and you know, Oreo could actually be in a good position right now. I really like Oreo's strategy and some guys. Both Alpines are doing well, but Oreo, I don't think Oreo has finished on the podium here in TCR. Actually, no, I think there was a race last season where he came very close to winning in Japan. He ended up getting DQ'd. It was a game error. I think he got a podium after it was all said and done, but it definitely without controversy, you know. Not of his doing, but just, you know. We couldn't just give him the podium and say, have a good day. We had to go through this whole obstacle of Codemaster's stupidity. Boy, every time they go through this corner, I get anxious. And rightfully so. I mean, we've had 2 incidents already in this corner today. So, it makes... Oh, jeez, Jabbar, don't make me any more anxious. It does make me anxious for tomorrow, because this is the first time that I'm going to be driving here on a wheel. And if you know, I mean, most people watching this probably know, but making a transition to a wheel, especially if you started on pad, it's not easy. Especially when you're going up against the grid that we have in Elite, it's going to be a slow process. It's definitely hard to do, and the competition in Elite is absolutely stacked. So if you want to watch some really good racing, tune in tomorrow night. F1 Nerd going to lead the field back to green. 70 miles an hour, 69 right now. Leading them at a nice pace. Some guy waiting in anticipation of when F1 Nerd is going to go. And this is one of those black and white type tracks to where, I mean, you literally just have a straightaway to go until the finish line. So all F1 Nerd needs to do is just hit the power. But some guy is going to be ready for when he does. And there he goes, and we're back underway. Looks like Kluka gets a good start here. He's going to be side by side with Oreo African into turn 1. Oreo gives him the spot. Kluka. Oh, there's contact there, though. Jabbar just had an issue, and he loses his front wing. A disastrous start of this race for the Red Bull driver. Oh, and he might have just clipped the wall again there. I think he just got on the curbs, actually, but yeah, there was contact there. Kluka went around the outside of Jabbar. Something happened, and Jabbar, his race has gone from bad to worse. Ahead of them, though, Kluka going to take advantage of this, going up into P4, now challenging P3, and keep in mind, he is on those fresh tires, so he could use this to his advantage, but it looks like Oreo got stuck here behind Jabbar, and he is not going to get by him anytime soon because we are heading into a corner to where it is hard to pass. Yeah, Jabbar, I mean, he shouldn't move over for him, but it wouldn't be the worst thing in the world. Oh, yeah. Oh, and D-Swish is out! D-Swish has crashed out, and that is our second safety car. Oh my goodness, that is out of turn 15. I saw his car on the inside there. That's one of the trickiest corners because you can really hop the curb and hit the wall on the right-hand side. It's also easy to... Oh, and Jabbar gets a drive-through. What is going on? We're 7 laps in, and I was joking about the fact that we might not have anybody left. We might not have anybody left. Oh, my word. Well, I mean, hey, Jabbar's got a drive-through, but this will at least allow him to pit, and here comes everybody else into the pits. Kluka, again, I think he's going to go back on the hards. Huh, so this actually... Well, I don't know if I agree with that. Why would you... What's the point of doing that? I mean, hey, do what you want, man, but I don't know if I would recommend doing that. I mean, you could have done a medium soft, I think. But F1 Nerd goes to the mediums, which, I would agree. I think this is well, wait, what did he start with? Okay, that's interesting. Why would you not go to hards? Okay. Maybe I'm not a good strategist, maybe just everyone's doing things I don't want to do, but I don't think that's the right call either. Why would you go from medium to medium? You could easily take the hards to the end. Maybe the mediums can go, but you have to use multiple compounds. I don't know about that. What this has done, though, is this has allowed the Alpines to go first and second, Oreo African up in the P2 behind some guy. And I do just want to touch up on D-Swish crashing out. D-Swish, our winner of the Canadian Grand Prix, he came very close to winning last week 2 weeks ago in Bahrain. He had contact with Pilot, ended up finishing P3, but D-Swish was in a close battle with Kluka for 4th in points, and this will open that up wide open. Don't forget my P3 to DNF at Australia, Oreo says. That sucks. I remember there was a race I had. It was in a different league. It was actually at Japan. And I was totally unaware that I had a back of the grid penalty. I ended up, and I didn't even qualify that good either. I qualified mid-pack, and I worked my way to the front. Actually, I had one of the better races I've ever had, racecraft-wise. I won the race, and then I find out afterwards, hey Camden, you had a back of the grid. So they DQ'd me, and I lost the race. So that's one of the worst ways I've lost a race, for sure. But, yeah, no, this is crazy. I mean, 5 people left, 2 safety cars, a couple of VSCs, and the thing is, we don't even have wet weather. We had wet weather in qualifying, and I feel like, I'm not calling anybody out, but I feel like we're driving worse than we did in qualifying, you know? Jabbar, if you get 7 pit stops this race, I will do something. Yeah, Jabbar is on 3 pit stops. I think his record is 6, so Jabbar, if you can do 7, I mean, we'll have to throw a party or something. Actually, you know what I'll do? Jabbar, if you hit 7 times this race, I'll change my car number tomorrow to 7. I'll do that. I think the safety car should come in this time. Now, Jabbar does have a drive-through, which will not count as a pit stop, but, I mean, that will be his 4th time going through the pits, so... Ooh, D-Swish says he did a 39 in time trial. That's... Dude, that would be good for Elite tomorrow night. That would be a good lap time. But yeah, man, this track, I'm worried for myself. You know, I've got a long streak of not DNFing, and if there's a track to do it at, it's this track. I remember season 14 silver class. I think we had 6 people finish the race, and this is back when we had a full grid. We had more than a dozen DNFs that race, so this track is notorious for that. But some guy will lead this pack of 5 cars back to the start-finish line. At around 100 miles per hour he goes, and he hits the throttle when we're back underway. Kluka, another good start. He is side by side with F1 Nerd. He's going to give him the spot now as F1 Nerd peeks to the inside of Oreo African, who kind of misses his apex. F1 Nerd hits the battery. He is going to look to the inside of Oreo African. Oreo goes a little wide, hits the wall there. There's more contact. Here comes Kluka now to the inside, trying to make an overtake and get 2 spots here off the line. Kluka has to back out of that, though. Boy, not a good start for Oreo African. I'm not sure if he got damaged, but there was definitely contact, and yeah, I don't think he did. I don't think I see anything that looks bad. If anything, it would be like very light yellow wing damage, which really doesn't do much to your pace. Heading into Castle, let's see if everybody survives. And they do. For the time being. At the front, though, man, there's only 5 people left, but there's still a great battle for the lead between our 2 front runners in the Challenger Series. F1 Nerd had a bit of a lockup there. Some guy really able to accelerate out of that corner. And Kluka is right here, and you know, I'm still questioning really both of their strategies. Oh, F1 Nerd all over the rear wing of some guy. That was quite risky here. Kluka is lurking on both of these drivers. Are we going to take it 3 wide? Yes, we are. Some guy has to tuck in line for the time being. Kluka on the fresh, soft tires to the front. And he is going to pull away here. So he's going for the short term, but we'll see where his strategy ends up. I think F1 Nerd needs to realize that there's not much he's going to be able to do in this scenario. As Jabbar does his drive-through penalty, he will have a lot of work to do, unless if we get some sort of a miracle. Oreo African in P4. I will say, I am grinning because if you look at the networks that these drivers are on, we will get to do a PlayStation Party interview tonight. Oh, good old-fashioned PlayStation Party interview that we very rarely get to do nowadays. Which, I mean, I'm fine with crossplay. Like, it makes things better, I think. On the previous game, crossplay was terrible, but the fact that it pretty much works now, I'm fine with it. If it means doing interviews on Discord, then so be it. Let's see Jabbar head through Castle. He makes it through. Here's the thing, though. Okay, so I think both of these drivers up here are going for a short-term pace, but if you look at what the long-term outcome could be, F1 Nerd has gapped some guy already by 1.5 seconds. So this is really a spread-out grid right now, but it's not going to be in the end because Kluka 100% needs to pit. And we'll see what F1 Nerd can do with those medium tires. But we are approaching halfway in the race, which, I mean, I think the term time going by fast gets overused a lot. There's another great camera angle. Wow. That's cool. This is one of those scenarios where time has not gone by fast. We've had 2 safety cars, 2 VSCs, multiple DNFs. It's been a long start to this race, for sure. But hey, I can't complain because next week is a 100% race, so buckle up. Hey, Seafreeze, if you're listening, another incentive to race here next season, that camera angle right there. And, well, this one we see every week, but this one is just as cool. Man, this is cool. Around this track, this camera angle is cool, because this is a street circuit, you know, we're really low to the ground all the time. Like, this is... Yeah, I like this shot right here. Oh man, this is this is great stuff. You know, you can say what you want about this game, but the camera angles on this game I think have improved since the last games. They really there's a lot of camera angles that really make you feel close to the car, you know. Makes you feel the speed of the car. For sure. The flyby shots are the best, like this one right here. Yeah, that's a good angle. I will say, the soft tires are notoriously bad here. They have very short life, but they are great when you are able to use them to your advantage. These soft tires, I think, are dying out for Kluka, because Kluka is blinking on his battery, and F1 Nerd has caught back up to him. So, I don't hate the strategy by Kluka, but I think you always want to set yourself up for a late safety car, and he had the opportunity to do a medium soft, to where he could have run the medium tires, you know, 15 laps or whatever, and then say a safety car comes out, then he'll be in a good spot. It has not been a good race for Jabbar. He spins out of turn 2, and I know this has been a tough race, but with 5 people, you just gotta do what you can. Oh man, I think he missed the corner actually. That was interesting. I think Jabbar just needs to do his due diligence and just finish the race. You're getting a guaranteed 10 points regardless, and Jabbar is 1 point behind D-Swish for P5 in the standings, so Jabbar needs to just finish the race. Oh no, well, you know what? I don't know if anybody's going to finish this race. Take a look at the screen, ladies and gentlemen. I think Kluka knew what he was doing, because we are now going to have wet weather conditions. I think Kluka was in the right here. It depends on how fast the rain comes, though, because you never know. But here comes F1 Nerd. This could be a huge moment for F1 Nerd here before the rain really makes an impact, and F1 Nerd is going to get this done, because the conditions are about to change dramatically. Pass for the lead, F1 Nerd gets by Kluka. And really, I mean, if there's another incentive for Jabbar to stay in the race, the constructors have really closed up. Mercedes is within 8 points of Red Bull, and if you look at the front, we have a battle for the lead between a Red Bull and a Mercedes. And Alpine is within 23 points as well, and both of their drivers are still in the race. Well, Oreo's not an Alpine, but some guy is. So, yeah, I'm telling you, you gotta finish every race. Whether you think it's, you know, oh, I can retire, nothing's gonna happen. No, like, trust me, the long-term effects are huge of any DNF. Well, Jabbar, I am marking you down for pit stop number 4. You got 3 to go. you gotta somehow do it, and I would prefer you to, like, make real pit stops. I don't want you to just pit just to pit, you know? I'm not saying I want you to hit the wall or anything, but if you could, like, have a legitimate reason to pit 3 more times, I would be very happy with that. Jabbar, if you pit 7 times, you're lucky number 7. Like, the jokes will just write themselves at this point. So this is where things are going to get spicy. Here comes Kluka, one of our front runners, into the pits to put on intermediate tires. And now it's just a question of, what does F1 Nerd do? Or what does some guy do? How will the conditions be for Kluka as he comes out of the pits? Let's take a look here. Oh, man, that was not a good start. Boy, that was close. You just gotta be patient here on this outlap. Don't expect to get anything out of this. You gotta just do what the car provides you. Don't step over the edge. Yeah, I don't know, like, I'm not seeing any spray really, so I don't know if we're at that point yet to where it is intermediate conditions, but with how long these laps are, it probably will be by the time F1 Nerd gets back to the finish line. Yeah, once you start seeing the spray from underneath the cars, that's when you really, really know it's time for new tires. But oh, big lockup there for F1 Nerd. That always makes me anxious going into that corner. We saw it with D-Swish earlier. All it takes is for you to miss your braking point a little bit, and you'll be in the wall. And well, speaking of that, here's Jabbar. It has not been, and that's the same corner. He missed turn 2 again, and he's stuck. Man, oh man. Well, I will say, Jabbar, if there's any positive you could take away from this, your teammate is right behind you now, and you might be able to provide him with some slipstream here. If you maybe spin out one more time, he might be able to catch up. Oh, I gotta get... Oh, you know what? Oh, Jabbar, you're not ready. If you spin again, oh, you're not ready for this. You are not going to look good, my friend. Oh, and some guy has to change his wing. What happened there? Oh, no. Man, oh, man. So that is going to really hurt some guy here. A lot of time in the pit lane. Take a look at Kluka. He has really pulled away here from some guy. But now he is approaching Oreo Hafrican, and he is approaching him possibly at the worst point of the racetrack, going into Sector 2, which of course has the castle section. Yeah, Section 2 begins in Turn 5, which we just went through. The castle section is turns 8 through 10, which we are about to go through. This is... Yeah, I can't imagine these guys trying to get up through castle right now. Like, that's horrible. That's like one of the trickiest things I think you can do in Formula 1 is going through castle section in the wet. And not just in the wet, I mean, we're really on, like, borderline wet conditions right now, I feel like. But F1 Nerd has stayed out. I think he's going to come in this time. I would. Yeah, he's coming in this time. Let's take a look at Kluka, though. He's going to try and get by Oreo here, and I think he needs to do this on this straightaway. He's got to make sure not to get into him here in this corner, and he is going to set himself up here with an overtake. And I can imagine Oreo is going to follow F1 Nerd into the pits, and here he comes. Oh, but he hits the wall, though! I kind of saw that coming, actually, and he is going to have to change his wing. I think the bigger question is, who hasn't had an incident yet this race? And honestly, Oreo is lucky to still be in this race. He really smacked that wall, honestly. So now, here's the thing. Kluka really timed that well. I was critical at first, but I had no idea the weather was coming. He timed that perfectly. He pit for the soft tires, pit before everybody else for the inners, and now he is in the lead by 3 seconds. F1 Nerd pit for the mediums. He was able to catch back up to Kluka, though, before the weather changed over, but he pit a couple of laps later than Kluka, and I think if he loses this race, that's going to be his Achilles heel, is just not short pitting there compared to Kluka. And now F1 Nerd just needs to think big picture, and oh man, did he... I thought he clipped the wall right there. That was close. He needs to not hit the wall. He's fighting for a driver's championship, so he needs to just not do that. But One thing with Kluka I do want to mention, next week, Kluka is expected to run his last race of the season next week. So he's looking for another win here before he wraps up his season 17, as DRS is now disabled. And yeah, you have to lift there. And notice F1 Nerd didn't though, and you see by the tracker, F1 Nerd just gained a lot through that corner by not lifting. And in general, he has gained a second in the past lap. So he's cooking right now. Some guy, meanwhile, paying the price for having to change his wing. He is in P3, but you know what? Like I said, when you're somebody like, well, if you're some guy, you need to just finish in the podium every week. With how small this grid is, with his pace, you don't really... I don't even think, like, in any conditions you need to win races. You just need to finish on the podium every week, I think. Because you always have that one guy that wins a lot of races, but crashes a lot too, because they're always pushing it all the time, so... Here's F1 Nerd. I think he's going to think about it here into turn 7, that he's going to think otherwise and save it for another corner. F1 Nerd's pace, I think, is better at the moment. You see the battery blinking on Kluka. He just doesn't have as much to work with right now. And F1 Nerd just has to be patient here. I don't think I would make this move here going into turn 16. We've seen, well, he's going to try it here. Oh, and there's a contact there, and F1 Nerd spins out after contact with Kluka. Oh my goodness. And I think Kluka has damage. Wow, well that just shaked everything up, and that brings some guy right back into this race. Boy, that's kind of an uncharacteristic move. I think F1 Nerd really should have... I mean, Kluka didn't get the best exit, but I think he really should have... Whoa, some guy... Let's take a look here. I think, yeah, Kluka has damage. Oh my goodness. Well, I mean, I will say, he does have a bit of a gap, but all for naught, as here we go for what will be the race lead. F1 Nerd and some guy. And we have a safety car because, well, some guy just hit, or Oreo just hit the wall, but why do we have a safety car? That... Okay, well, oh, and Shabar. Yeah, you gotta go a little bit slower. You know, I'm not one for conspiracy theories, but I think I just heard Kluka in the other room tell the race stewards that he's got a pocket full of $20 bills that he's willing to provide them if they throw a safety car. That was literally a safety car for no reason, and that just was a huge break for Kluka and F1 Nerd. I mean, oh my god. Wow. I will say, though, I mean... you know what? I'll have to look back at the replay. That might go down as a racing incident, but... I don't know. That might get submitted afterwards. So. Not something you really see from F1 Nerd, you know? Definitely a little aggressive there. Well, okay, I'm looking back at the replay now. I don't know, it kind of looked like a racing deal. I mean, F1 Nerd... Yeah, to me, that's a racing incident. Kluka bounced off the wall. Yeah, I think Kluka was trying to give F1 Nerd room in that moment. I still say what I said before. I just don't think that F1 Nerd needed to make the move right there. You know, just big picture, right? As Chabar, hey, don't make me do this. I don't want to have to change my number. Chabar, 1, 2, 3, 4. 5 pit stops. You got 2 more to go, buddy. Let's get this done. 5 pit stops. You need 2 more. And I will change... You know, maybe I'll do it for the All-Star race or something. I don't want to do it during a regular season race, right? Because they can't... If I'm thinking realistically, you can't do that. I mean, we don't really have a car number rule here in TCR, although I honestly would love to have one. We used to, but we've kind of gotten relaxed about that in the last few seasons. I feel like if I'm going to change my number to number 7 in honor of Chabar doing 7 pit stops, I should do it in the All-Star race. Oh yeah, because you know what? Because the top 5 in the driver's standings goes to the All-Star race, and Chabar's got a good shot of doing that. So Chabar and I could both... Ooh, you know what? Chabar and I could both be number 7 in the All-Star race. Yeah, let's do that. All right, Chabar. If you pit 2 more times, I will change my number for the All-Star race. And past champions are also allowed. So we'll have a... I hope we do an All-Star race. I know, you know, the numbers aren't great this season, but I think we'll have enough people. We'll have 10 people from the 2 classes combined, and we have a lot of past champions. I'm thinking of a few of them off the top of my head that are still in the league. Yeah, but yeah, we could absolutely have enough people for at least 15. Oh, some guy just tapped the wall there. I don't think that did anything significant, but turn 15, man, that corner has been treacherous. The Red Bull is the tortoise in the hare. I like that. African. I thought I said African. I just call him Oreo. I don't say the full username. I usually say African. I know Seafree says half African because he likes to be literal about that stuff. But Kluka, not sure why he's doing this. Maybe just to get better grip, I guess? I mean, sure, but... hey, I questioned his strategy before, and it worked, so I'm not questioning it any further. He proved me wrong earlier in the race with his soft tire strategy, so I'll just shut up. Mr. Sensation is cheering for Oreo African for a top 3. Oh, Mr. Sensation! Hey, welcome! Former voice of TCR right there. Welcome. Good to have you. Chabar still pretty far behind the grid, so we will do another lap here under safety car. We'll probably go green this time, as I think I just saw Chabar on the other side of the track go by these guys, so yeah, we're going to be waiting a little bit for Chabar to catch back up, but... I'm honestly surprised that we still have 5 people in this race, not gonna lie. I will say, I think Kluka knows something we don't. I mean, I think he was just going for a little bit better tires, but if you notice, you guys, the rain has picked up in the last several laps, so maybe he's just really trying to just really optimize this scenario. I don't think we're going to go back green this lap. I mean, we might if the safety car comes in here at the last second, but Chabar is still way far behind. So yeah, that's why I wasn't a huge fan of Kluka pitting right there, because he's going to have 4 laps to get by 3 cars. That's tough to do in any scenario at any track. He would have been in a little bit of a better spot if he had stayed out there, but now this Now this makes me wonder, is F1 Nerd going to do the same thing? He's kind of... he played puppet right there, I think. He made me think he was going to do what Kluka did there. And which he could, I mean, because Chabar is so far back, and... I'm not... I mean, maybe Chabar is just struggling, but, like, he's not making much progress at all. I'm not sure what's going on here, but... If you look at the map, and we can tell here, once these drivers head out of turn 6? Turn 6. That's when the front straightaway aligns with the back straightaway, and they were neck and neck last time. Like, if you see where the green dot is on your screen, in sector, right by the number 3, that's where they were last time. They were basically identical with each other, and Chabar, he's made up a bit of time, but like not he won't catch them before the end of the race. So I wonder why he's not catching up. That's just what I'm wondering. I know it's raining and Chabar's been struggling a little bit this race, but like he literally hasn't gained much time at all on their safety car, which just really makes me wonder, honestly. Because, I mean, like, this is terrible for Kluka. If you're Kluka, you're like, hey, like, come on, Chabar, let's catch up here. But you know what this is really doing? I mean, like, I really think the rain has picked up here in the last few laps, and it is borderline wet tire conditions. So, if we go another lap here under safety car, I think Kluka should think about pitting here for wets. I think somebody should. If you're Oreo... I mean, not like he's a reserve, so I think he's got the least to lose. And Chabar just had another issue, and the safety car is not going to wait any longer. So, Oreo Hafrican going up against some guy. Oreo Hafrican going for his first victory in TCR, sandwiched in between two championship frontrunners. How will this play out? Some guy leading the championship by 14 points over F1 Nerd. This could really put this championship wide open if he finishes where he is and F1 Nerd finishes where he is. Some guy hits the gas and we're back underway. P2, however, I think F1 Nerd timed that pretty well. Here we go into turn 1. F1 Nerd is going to get this overtake done. Oh, some guy looks like he misses his apex slightly. F1 Nerd going to push the battery. Here they go into turn 2. Side by side. F1 Nerd sliding a little bit. Kluka with the grip though. Oh, nearly hits the wall. Has the back out of it. Oreo down to P4. It is really raining now. I think these drivers are going to struggle. Oh, and some guy misses his apex again. F1 Nerd is there. F1 Nerd looking for his first victory of Season 17, and we have a caution. Oreo has lost his front wing. And I don't think this will cause a safety car, because we've got 3 laps to go, and Chabar is serving his drive-thru. So this looks like this will wrap up our podium, unless if one of these guys has an issue here, which could happen. With the way these guys are driving right now, it could happen. Chabar just pit for the wets for his 6th pit stop. Oh boy. I think we're going to do it, ladies and gentlemen. I think he's going to pit 7 times. Oreo in P4, close to a podium. I don't think it's going to happen today. At the front, though, heading into turn 15, this corner, which is tough for braking, and Oreo has retired in Castle. 4 drivers are left. Do we get a safety car? We typically have a 3-lap limit for that. We're just on the cusp of it. F1 Nerd, I think he's going to think better. Oh, some guy's going wide! Yikes, that was close. I thought he was going to hit the wall there. This is the battle for the win. I mean, hey, the way this is going, if all three of these drivers crash out, I'm recording this as the greatest race in TCR history. Greatest might not be the word for it, but exciting is another one, definitely. But here we go. Turn 2, last lap, it did not work. And Chabar, I think he's setting himself up for a 7th pit stop here as he bends it into the wall. At the front, here we go. F1 Nerd around the outside. Trying to make this happen, he locks up a bit. Some guy hits the wall! And I think he might have gotten a slight bit of damage here. And that allows F1 Nerd to overtake him. Now Kluka is going to be lurking as well. Wow. Chabar with damage back in P4. Holy smokes. I mean, I'm honestly shocked that we still have 4 people left in this race. I don't know if I've ever been able to say that before. Some guy misses his apex! He hits Kluka, and there's contact, and that's just going to allow F1 Nerd to pull away. And some guy has had a terrible lap. And F1 Nerd, after an incident with Kluka, it looked like his race was over, it looked like Kluka's race was over. They get a very lucky safety car, and it puts them right back into this. And, oh, into the wall, some guy again, and that was the dagger. I think he hit the wall pretty hard that time around. Yeah, he's got basically no wing, so he just needs to nurse this around here for a podium finish. I mean, hey, if he DNFs, this has got to be the least amount of cars to finish a race if he DNFs. And here's Chabar in for a 7th pit stop. I cannot explain what I have witnessed this race. Some guy into the pits. Looks like his 3rd place finish will be wrapped up. So this is the race for the win. And this is really the only battle on track. I really don't think I've ever seen anything like this before. Some guy, I think he's still fixing his wing. Chabar, he still has a drive-through. He's got a pit again, technically. But hey, he did it. I'm pretty sure he did it. So, Chabar, yeah, look at that. Look at that. 7, and Kluka's got 6 pit stops. And Chabar just missed the corner. Alright, Chabar, I will change my number for the All-Star race to number 7. That's awesome. And he's gonna let the leaders go through here. Oh, oof, that was close. Wow. I mean, 4 people finishing the race. 2 drivers with 6 or more pit stops. I mean, I'm not, like, I said this was one of the greatest races earlier. Maybe that's not the word for it, but this will go down in history. One way or another. But F1 Nerd. Oh, and you know what? This race would not be complete without a helicopter sound effect. I think this is the first one we've been able to do today for F1 Nerd as he approaches the final lap of the race, looking for his first victory in Season 17. The helicopters, you gotta keep up with him, buddy. I know the visibility's hard, but... Final lap of the Azerbaijan Grand Prix. He's had a lot of runner-up finishes since his last win back in Season 16. He came runner-up in the points as well last season, but this is going to flip the script. Oh, and Chabar is going to serve his drive-through. I thought he was making an 8th pit stop there, but... F1 Nerd is going to close this in with some guy and make this championship battle single digits between those two. Going into Britain next week. for the 100% race. Jabbar is having one of the worst races I've ever seen from a guy who's about to finish in 4th place. This might be Jabbar's worst race ever, and he's going to get a 4th place finish. I cannot fathom that. Wow. Well, Kluka will finish P2. I'm sure he probably would have liked a P1. I'm sure he won't be happy with some guy who gave him a little bit of a boot there going into turn 7. And after all this, I mean, some guy still finishes the race and gets a podium. F1 Nerd just needs to round these last couple corners without error, and he is going to pick up his first victory of Season 17, and also give Red Bull a bigger lead in Constructors. One of the most chaotic and obscure races in TCR history has come to an end. F1 Nerd wins the Azerbaijan Grand Prix Round 6. Kluka finishes P2. Some guy will wait for him and Jabbar to cross the finish line. Some guy, 22 seconds back, will finish in P3 for his fourth podium of the season, right? Yeah, 4th podium of the season. And here comes Jabbar. 7 pit stops, a billion crashes, and 12 points. Give it up, ladies and gentlemen. That's one of the best things I've ever seen. To the finish line, Red Bull gets a 1-4 today. Jabbar finishes the race. Wow. 7 pit stops. I don't even know. Kluka, driver of the day. Yeah, the weather. I mean, on top of it, I mean, the weather obviously played a factor into it. I haven't really even mentioned the fact that the weather was just as chaotic. We had sort of wet weather in qualifying, started the race out in dry. The race went to intermediates, then went to wet conditions at the end. This had everything you could ask for, really. Except the close finish, which, if we had that, then man, I might never commentate another race again, because this is as good as it gets. And now it's sunny again, but yeah, that was one for the books. Look at that. Jabbar's got well, actually, Kluka's got more of a rainbow going on, I feel like, but Jabbar's right there. I mean, that F1 Nerd had 4 pit stops, some guy with 3. That's crazy. With 2, right? Hold on. Did Jabbar have 6? Hold on. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yeah, that's what I thought. That's crazy. Not many penalties either, which this is not a track for that usually, but yeah, that was something else to say the least. But we will get these guys in for an interview. We will see what they have to say, because I don't know what I would say personally, but you know. All right, let's get these guys in. All right, we'll wait for them to scoot on in. And we will wait for everybody to make an appearance. At Jabbar, yeah, you're right. I might have to get your insight on this. I mean, yeah, you know what? Yeah, you can hop on in. Only 4 people finished the race, so you might as well get the fourth place finisher in here. Um, Kluka and F1 Nerd, I did send you guys one as well. But you know what? Let's start this off with some guy, since I see him in the party. P3. Um, I'm trying to think of what to ask. I mean, I don't even know because there was a billion things that happened. I guess the end of the race there was a bit of contact with you and Kluka, and then F1 Nerd pulled away. So just talk about how the finish unfolded. Oh, and make
Yeah,
sure your
so
volume. Hold on, just make sure your audio settings are shared.
yeah,
Just
let me just double check that real quick for
okay,
you.
awesome.
It should be okay. Should be we should be good now.
Okay, all right, go
All
ahead.
right. So I got a little bit of wing damage off like the first few corners off the last safety car, which kind of ruined my race a little bit. So I was going to let Kluka by, and I was trying to brake for the corner, and I accidentally ran into him a bit, not meaning to, but it was just the front wing damage that kind of messed me up a little bit. So I decided to pit for wets and just hope for the best, and hopefully maybe Click or F1 nerve somehow spun it. So I was just hoping for the best, pretty much.
Yeah, I mean it was super hard to predict what the weather was going to do. You know, Kluka had 6 pit stops, Chabar had 7. So, what was? I mean, do you think if you could go back and do anything different with the strategy, you could?
I definitely could pit it under that last safety car for wets, because I was just wanting to hope for the best. It was not going to pick up any more rain, so I think I kind of screwed myself there. But before the race even started, I even predicted that qualifying and the race would be wet, so I may have jinxed that a little bit. So
Awesome. And then I guess the big question is so uh, because of F1 Nerd winning, the gap between you and him has gotten smaller. It is within single digits now. So, how are you feeling going forward? You know, you've had a good start to the season. You've gotten a couple wins, but what's just your thoughts about the rest of the season?
I think for the rest of the season, I just need to like be focused and make sure I don't make any more mistakes like I did this race. Because if I keep doing that, it's gonna make me like not get podiums and get a lot of points to help me win this championship. So I just need to focus up and just make the right strategy calls from now on.
Gotcha. Um, and then so next week is a 100% race in Britain. So are you gonna stay up for the whole thing?
It's a 50-50 right now. It's a 50-50.
All right,
But
man.
Braden's my best track, so I might.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I love
Oh,
that track.
okay. All right. Well, we'll have to watch out for that. Everyone, keep your eyes peeled, I guess. All right, man. Congrats on P3, and yeah, keep at it. You're in a good spot for the championship, I think.
All right, thanks, man.
All right. Well, I think this is one of the first times we've done this, but I'm gonna go down to P4, and I just want to get an insight here from Chabar. Who, what, why, how, like, what, what was that race? What
I
happened?
mean, I'm I'm s- I'm speechless too. What a great race for Red Bull. A 1-4. Shout out F1 nerd. Lot of points for Red Bull. Happy for the team. You can hardly ask for a better finish for the two of us. So great race for Red Bull.
Yeah, really. I mean, if you look at the stat book, you started sixth, you finished fourth. I mean,
Up
seemed like a
net two
pretty
positive.
generic race.
Yeah, up 2 spots. I don't remember. I think it was the strategy. I don't remember passing them on track, so it must have been my strategy really paid off. Um, to be honest though, I don't know how I got 2 drive-through penalties, and then like the second one it wouldn't let me serve it because I kept getting wing damage and fixing my wing. So I think I pitted on like 4 consecutive laps, and then I also couldn't hit turn two. Like I ended up in that runoff at least 3 4 times. It's pretty terrible. Apologies to the other racers, that didn't help. I probably delayed that one safety car from restarting for like 5 minutes plus. That sucked. My bad. Um, but I survived just long enough.
Yeah, it looked like you were really enjoying turn two. I was thinking you were gonna pull a Fernando Alonso and get a beach chair and just hang out there for the rest of the race.
Yeah, some beach chair and Gore-Tex would have been great in that corner, but I had to finish 90% for a Red Bull.
Awesome. Yeah, I don't know what else to say. I mean, and you just came back from a great ski trip in France too. You know, you haven't even unpacked yet, from what I last heard. And then you have this historic race.
Yeah, what a week. I probably slid around more in the race today than I did on the slopes. Um, Maybe my head is still in the French Alps because it was not in Azerbaijan.
Right on. All right, man. Congrats on the P4 finish.
Thank you. Uh, Congratulations, F1 Nerd, and everyone else on the podium.
Right on.
Thanks, Tabor.
Let's slide up 2 spots to Kluka in P2. The first thing that comes to mind is the incident with you and F1 Nerd, which happened after the castle section. What happened from your point of view?
Me being stupid. That's really it. You know what I need to say? That was not great by me. That's, yeah, not great.
Yeah, I mean, well, at first I really wasn't sure what happened, but then I looked at the replay. Um, did you did you did you kind of get shocked by F1 Nerd trying to go side by side through there, and you were trying to give him room? Like what happened there mentally?
No, I waterplaned pretty much through there. I couldn't do anything. The car was sort of sliding. I had no control. I couldn't do much. I wasn't shocked at all.
Okay.
Or hydroplaning, whatever the fuck.
Right. And then there was one other thing. So I crucified you earlier on in the race for pitting back. You were on mediums and then you pitted for softs like right after. And I was thinking like, oh, like he could just, take the mediums and then pit for softs. But then I'm assuming you knew the weather was coming because you pretty much timed it perfectly.
Yeah, no, I really didn't. My tires were shot. That's why F1 Nerd caught up to me so fast. I was on 30% tires. It was just stupid for me. It wasn't
Huh.
great.
Okay. Because
Yeah.
really, I think it worked to your favor because, like, I mean, F1 Nerd caught back up to you before the rain, like when the rain happened, but, you didn't lose anything necessarily from it. So, yeah, I guess, the one other question is, so you've said how next week is probably going to be your last race this season. Um, it's going to be a 100% race. So, what's the practice schedule going to look like this next week?
I don't know if I feel like practicing after this week. I don't know.
Oh man, it's going to be your last race though. You gotta go out with a bang.
I don't know.
All right. Um, hey man, still solid race P2, and congrats on the podium.
Yep.
And now, at long last, up to P1, first time in season 17, F1 Nerd, you get it done, and I actually predicted you for the win, so you're making me look good for once on the prediction side of things. Um, Easier said than done, though, because, like I said, you had the incident there with Kluka, which, looking back at it, I think should go down as a racing incident. But then this safety car came out right after that. How shocked were you by that? Because from what I saw, there was literally no reason for that safety car.
Well, it was a that was one hell of a crazy race, but yeah, well, from that move with the incident, I was gonna go for a move because I saw he was struggling a lot on his inters, was it? I don't, yeah, but I saw him struggling a lot with the rears. He was just spinning, so I kind of didn't want to stay behind him and going into that weird corner where you kind of there's where D swish DNF basically. Because it can get tricky in that wet weather especially. But then I thought about it, and then I saw that curb on the left, and I was like, this isn't good because he's gonna turn in. So I tried backing out last second, and next thing I know, I spin, he spins, and I'm just surprised I didn't DNF, honestly.
Yeah, no, I don't think I've ever said this before, but I'm genuinely surprised that all four of you guys finished the race. From the amount of contact that there was, the fact that we had four people finish that race is surprising. So I just got confirmation that Kluka hit the wall coming into the pits, which damaged his wing, which caused a safety car. That shouldn't even be a VSC. Like either way, I think you definitely lucked out with that safety car.
It saved me, so I ain't complaining.
I was kind of hoping I would end up on the podium a lap down.
Oh my god, that would go down as historic. We might have to. You know how Seafreeze made the awards the last couple of seasons? He might have to give you one for that.
Not going almost DNF twice, so you almost had it, Jabbar. You almost had it.
Oh, I'm not surprised. That was insane.
When some guy pitted for the wets, I was like, I thought he's catching up, but I guess it was one lap too late.
Yeah, I should have pit under a safety car. That's what screwed me. Wanted to stick it out to the end, but nope.
Yeah, I mean it was hard to really predict what to do in that race. You know, it was just
definitely
such a crap show. But you know, I will say next week I am curious as to how that one's going to go because we're probably going to have a similar grid to what we had this week, and it's going to be a 100% race. So
is this still going to be 100% if it's like 6 people?
I would want it to be, yeah. We've canceled a 100% race. Like we had it last season, but we've canceled it a lot in the last few seasons. So I would like to do it, and we've never had one on Tuesday before.
Oh, that's fair.
You know,
so
I would.
I'm just
like to
already. Don't worry about me.
So yeah, F1 nerd, how do you feel about Britain?
It's one of those tracks where I can't improve more than like what I've probably improved in the past seasons. I don't know, it's just a weird track for me. But I mean, this track I was not supposed to get pole or win, so I guess you never know.
Yeah. I mean, after what we saw today, I'm not surprised about anything. So, expect the unexpected. And the thing is, too, I mean, you barely even made the race. You know, like you weren't supposed to be here, right?
No, I was not supposed to be, but then, so that's why I didn't practice. Like I just did like TTs today in the morning, and like
Wow. Yeah, that's you know, there's been times to where like I've either almost not made it to a race or I haven't felt like practicing, and more times than not, I actually do really well in the race. I've noticed.
Maybe you shouldn't practice at all then.
I know. Maybe
I should
not.
stop.
I should just stop practicing.
Yeah.
Don't worry, I'll make sure I won't jinx the weather next week like I did today.
Oh no.
Oh.
Because I actually called for qualifying to be wet and the race to be wet. So.
Oh dang! Come on, some guy. Why you do us like that? It's all good.
Yeah. Real quick, Chabar, I just want to say something real quick. Your consistency is still second to none. All right, your finishes this season have been 5th, 5th, 6th, 6th, and now 4th and 4th.
All right. Let's do a third the next 2 weeks.
First and first.
First.
Yeah, first and first.
I'm humble. Third.
All right. Sounds good to me. So yeah, I think that's gonna do it. It's actually been a long race for it only being a 50% race. No no sprint race or 3-tire special or anything. So if you liked what you saw, we're gonna be back tomorrow night for the Elite Series here in Azerbaijan. I expect more than 4 people to finish the race, but you never know. So just make sure to tune into that. If you missed it, we are not continuing with Super Formula, and we are starting up an IndyCar series, which has already gotten a ton of interest. So if you like iRacing and you like IndyCar, go and sign up at trinitycompetitiveracing.com. But for now, my name is Camden Luca, and we will see you next week for the 100% race in Great Britain. Have a good night.